In this video, we're talking about nutrition and skin conditions like acne, psoriasis, and rosacea. We're going to look at what you can eat to help these conditions and what to be a little bit more cautious of. Plus, you'll be surprised to learn that some of the vitamin supplements you might be taking in an effort to help your skin might actually be making it worse. If you're new here, I'm Maria and I'm a registered dietitian. Let's get into the video. So if you go into your bathroom cabinet and you pick up a product, what are you going to see? Vitamins. Niacinamide is vitamin B3, retinol is vitamin A, and most glow serums are vitamin C. So of course, nutrition and what you put into your body is going to impact your skin health, but it differs from person to person and skin condition to skin condition. So let's start with acne. Everyone has experienced some spots or breakouts at some point or other in their life, and many people will blame diet. But acne is mainly caused by genetics, so blame your parents, and hormones. Yet over 90% of people blame food as an aggravating factor. But I have seen many people with perfect diets and they still struggle with acne. So the reality is that not everyone and not everyone's skin responds to diet in the same way. So when it comes to diet and acne, there appears to be a spectrum, and you can fall on either end of the spectrum or somewhere in between. So on one end, people find their skin is highly sensitive to what they eat, and this can trigger breakouts. On the other side, people can eat whatever they want. It can be really good or really bad, and it doesn't seem to have much of a difference on their skin. But it's important to remember that food is not causing the acne, regardless of where you fall on the scale. But it may be triggering a breakout in some more sensitive people. It also doesn't mean that your acne will completely clear if you remove the trigger foods. So it's often not a cure, but it can help. So when it comes to the foods that tend to be the main culprits for triggering acne, there are three main ones: low fat or skimmed milk, high GI foods including refined sugar, and some vitamin and dietary supplements. So we'll start by looking at low fat milk. And I want to emphasize here that I did not say dairy. I said low fat milk specifically, because milk has a hormone in it called IGF-1. And it's a naturally occurring hormone. It's not something that has been added in by manufacturers. And this hormone level, it's present in your regular full-fat dairy milk too, but it's there in a higher concentration in the skimmed milk and lower fat versions because they've taken out the fat. So then the ratio of the IGF-1 is higher in comparison. But it's great news when it comes to yogurt and cheese. Because of the way that they are fermented, most of this hormone gets destroyed. So they don't often cause a problem. And now if you're only having like a drop of skimmed milk in your tea, you're also probably going to be fine. The research shows that it seems to be 2 or more glasses of low-fat milk that trigger the breakouts in the people that are susceptible to this. So if you do drink a lot of milk and you're convinced that this may be a trigger for you, it is reasonable to trial switching to a fortified plant-based alternative for around 4 weeks. But after 4 weeks, if you've seen no improvement in your skin or your breakouts, then I would bring it back in. Now, please don't go off completely eliminating a food group without speaking with a dietitian or a doctor, because you'll just make yourself nutritionally vulnerable in another area. Plus, I think dairy is a superfood in terms of skin and hair because it contains B vitamins and iodine that we don't get in many other food sources. Now, before I move on to the next one, I'm going to pause here and ask that if you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit the red subscribe button below. It really helps support my channel so I can continue making more videos. And while you're at it, I would love it if you gave the video a thumbs up too. Now, several large studies looking at thousands of participants have linked acne to high glycemic foods, or a diet high in refined sugar. But again, this doesn't mean that if you remove all sugar from your diet, your acne will clear. So the glycemic index is a scale used to refer to how quickly a given food can cause a rise in blood sugar. So some examples of high GI foods would be your cakes, your biscuits, your sweets, your sugar-sweetened beverages, white bread and flavored syrups that might be added to tea or coffee. And looking at these examples, these are foods that for the most part we should be careful about having in excess anyway, just for our general health. So how is this sugar contributing to acne? So when we consume refined sugar, such as a can of Coke, for example, our blood sugar levels spike quickly. And this causes a rapid rise in the hormone insulin, as well as the release of a second hormone called IGF-1. Now, if you're susceptible, IGF-1 activates glands in the skin that increase the production of SIBO, which is an oil, and this can lead to skin congestion, ultimately making skin more prone to breakouts. And from last week's video, we also learned that too much added sugar can also stiffen collagen fibers. And collagen is really important for skin healing and minimizing scarring. So sticking to a lower GI diet may also help with your skin recovering from breakouts. Now I'm going to address chocolate as it's often demonized in terms of acne and skin. And what I say with most foods is It's the dose that makes the poison. I eat chocolate every single day and I cannot imagine a world without chocolate. And dark chocolate is going to be a better choice. It's going to have a lower GI because it will have more cocoa fat and it'll have a few more polyphenols. But I would say if you really love your regular milk chocolate, you can still continue to eat that. It's just being mindful that you're not eating loads of it in excess every single day. So following a low GI diet can be helpful. And if you have PCOS, for example, it's also helpful to follow a low GI diet. And many people with PCOS also struggle with acne. Finally, some dietary and vitamin supplements, which are often promoted as a solution to skin concerns, can be making your skin worse. For example, high-dose biotin supplements, which you will find in many hair and skin supplements, can aggravate acne. And high-dose B12 supplements is another one to watch out for. Also, whey protein powders. Whey is derived from dairy milk, and it contains high levels of that IGF-1 that can worsen or trigger breakouts for some. So maybe try swapping out your whey protein powder for a plant-based alternative like a pea protein powder instead, if you think it's a trigger for you. On the flip side, there are some supplements that may help with acne. For those who are deficient in vitamin D, optimizing your levels may help. And there's new emerging research for the use of probiotics in helping acne. So watch this space as we learn more. Now, the next skin condition is rosacea. But I want to highlight first that, of course, the first step in treating any skin condition, whether it's acne, rosacea, or psoriasis, is getting the basics right. So I'd recommend, if you haven't already, check out last week's video for my 5 nutrition and skin principles to make sure you're on the right track. Now, rosacea is a common inflammatory skin concern, and there are dietary triggers. So reducing exposure to these is an important part of management. Triggers are individual, but they can include things like alcohol and spicy foods. Also hot drinks. So we used to think it was caffeine in tea and coffee, but it's actually the temperature of the drinks that seem to be triggering the flare-ups. So you can still enjoy your caffeine, but it might be opting for an iced coffee or an iced tea instead. Another trigger for some is foods that contain a compound called cinnamaldehyde. This includes things like cinnamon, but also tomatoes, citrus, and chocolate. Also, for some people with rosacea, food and drinks that have high levels of histamine can cause the blood vessels in the skin to widen, and this increases the appearance of redness and flushing. So histamine is a compound produced naturally in our bodies, but some food and drink also contain high levels, particularly foods that are aged or fermented. So alcoholic beverages are a common one here. Red wine and beer tend to be quite high in histamine. Prosecco and dry white wines like a Sauvignon Blanc are marginally better. And clear spirits like tequila and vodka have the lowest levels of histamine. And fermented foods like sauerkraut and kefir, and aged cheeses like Parmesan, cheddar, and blue cheese are also high in histamine. Processed meats like ham and salami are also quite high in histamine. So the first part of the nutritional management of rosacea is identifying your triggers. Then, once you identify them, you don't need to leave them rule your life, and you don't need to completely eliminate them. Instead, try to work with them and have some flexibility. So if you love red wine, but you know that it sets off your skin, it might just be choosing when you decide to enjoy that and not having it at a big social dinner. Or if you're craving a coffee, it might be allowing it to cool a little or choosing an iced version. And remember again that these triggers do not cause the rosacea, but they can add fuel to the fire and aggravate the flare-up. Try to keep a food and symptom diary and identify if there's any pattern with certain foods that you may be eating. If you go on to the National Rosacea Society website, they have a lovely rosacea diary that you can access for free. If I can, I'll try to link it down below. There is also a fascinating connection between rosacea and gut health. Research has shown that those who suffer with rosacea have an increased chance of developing an overgrowth of H. pylori, a spiral-shaped bug found in the stomach. And this can lead to a range of uncomfortable symptoms like indigestion, heartburn, and bloating. Rosacea has also been potentially linked with another gut imbalance called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. So the majority of our gut bacteria should live in the large bowel, and SIBO occurs when bugs travel up to the small intestine. And this can cause symptoms of bloating and feelings of fullness. And treating this may help with rosacea management. So if you do have rosacea, it's a good idea to keep an eye out for any gut symptoms. Comment below if you'd like me to do a full series on how best to eat to support our gut health. Now, the next condition that I'm going to talk about is psoriasis, another inflammatory skin concern that affects up to 4% of the population. And there's currently a really big study known as the APPLE study, underway at the moment in King's College London, because nutrition and psoriasis is really important for a number of reasons. Firstly, psoriasis is not simply a skin condition. It's closely linked to other medical conditions. Studies have shown that people with psoriasis have a higher risk of developing other long-term health conditions, such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure. But please don't be alarmed. The good news is that all of these conditions respond really well to diet. So taking care of your health is essential. And not only can it prevent the occurrence of these conditions itself, but it can also improve psoriasis. Current evidence also suggests that your weight is clinically relevant to psoriasis severity. And for those who are overweight or live with obesity, losing even 5% of body weight has seen improvements in psoriasis. But it's important to stress that losing weight only benefits those with psoriasis if you have weight to lose in the first place. If your weight lies within a healthy range, additional weight loss is not going to be of benefit. And weight loss is complicated. It's a lot more difficult than we've been led to believe. So if you do want to lose weight, seek support and be kind to yourself. Also, a gluten-free diet may be relevant to a small subset of people with psoriasis who have positive celiac antibodies. And celiac disease is about 3 times more common if you already have psoriasis. But if you are negative for celiac, cutting out gluten doesn't seem to have any benefit in managing your psoriasis. So there is a role for it, but it is very specific. Now, a common question is about psoriasis triggers, but there doesn't seem to be any hard and fast triggers that have been noted. And there we have it. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you and will help you managing your skin conditions going forward. If you have any questions, please comment below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. As a thank you for watching all the way to the end, I want to let you know that I have a free recipe ebook which I've linked below in the description box. Thank you very much for watching. Stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you again next week.